I never thought I would be the kind of person who follows their partner because I always believed that the moment you feel the need to do that, something in the relationship is already broken, beyond repair. But somehow that's exactly where I ended up. Over the past few months, I started noticing small changes in my husband that didn't seem important on their own, but together created this constant feeling that something wasn't right. He began working later more often, which at first I didn't question because it sounded reasonable, but it slowly turned into a pattern that didn't quite make sense anymore. At the same time, he became more protective of his phone in subtle ways, always keeping it close, turning the screen away slightly when I walked into the room. Nothing obvious enough to confront, but enough for me to notice. What stood out even more was how much he suddenly started caring about his appearance, buying new clothes and paying attention to details that had never really mattered to him before. And while I tried to tell myself that people change or go through phases, there was this persistent feeling in the back of my mind that I couldn't ignore anymore. Last Thursday was the moment everything shifted, because he told me once again that he had to stay late at work to help his boss finish something urgent. And for some reason, I didn't even fully understand at the time, I decided to follow him after he left. What made it worse was that he didn't go to the office. Instead, I watched him drive to a small apartment complex across town, and I remember sitting there in my car, trying to come up with any explanation that would make sense. I stayed there longer than I'm comfortable admitting, just watching and hoping that something would happen to prove my suspicions wrong. But eventually I got out of the car, still not fully prepared for what I might find. I didn't even reach the building before I saw them. He was standing there with his boss, kissing each other, and within seconds, any doubt I had disappeared completely. It was one of those moments where your mind tries to catch up with what your eyes are seeing, but your body reacts first, because I just froze. What made it even harder to process wasn't just the fact that he was with someone else, but that this was something I had never even considered as a possibility. Because in the 6 years we've been married, there had never been any indication that he likes men. I really don't know the man I married. Since then, I haven't confronted him. Not because I don't want answers, but because I genuinely don't know how to even begin that conversation. And part of me feels like saying it out loud will make everything final, in a way that I'm not ready to deal with yet. At the same time, another part of me feels like I need to understand what's been happening, because right now I'm left with more questions than answers, and none of them are easy to sit with. It's not just about what I saw, but about everything it implies. About whether this has been going on for longer than I realized. About whether there are things I missed. And about what it means for our relationship moving forward. I also find myself struggling to even define what I'm feeling, because it's not just one clear emotion, but a mix of confusion, anger, and a sense of disorientation that comes from realizing that your reality might not have been what you thought it was. And I think that's the part I'm having the hardest time with right now, because it's not just about being hurt. It's about trying to understand how something like this fits into the life I thought I had. At this point, I don't even know what the next step is supposed to be, because confronting him feels inevitable. But at the same time, I don't feel ready for whatever comes after that conversation. All I know is that right now, everything feels uncertain in a way I've never experienced before, and I'm left trying to figure out how to move forward when I'm no longer sure what I'm moving forward with.